Who was deleted in the Ultimate Deletion? And just who is going to be Braun Strowman's partner? We'll tell you as WGS-TV reviews Monday Night Raw for the week of March 19th, 2018. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to work.
Hey guys, it's Becca, and I'm here to tell you that you're watching The Wrestle Gamer on WGS-TV.
What's up guys, I'm the Wrestle Gamer and welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/WrestleGamer, and joining me on the review this week, ladies and gentlemen, of course you know him as the Studly Man Ashley. Ashley, how you doing?
How'd you do?
Yeah, now normally before we get into the review, I always like to give a brief summary intro before we actually segue into the actual part of the main review. But on this week's review, guys, we got a bit of breaking news to talk about before we get into the review, don't we, Ash?
Yes. News came through, and let's see if there's a date or a time on this actual publication. There isn't, so there we go. But officially on WWE.com, the headline states, Daniel Bryan medically cleared to return to in-ring action. Following more than 2 years of extensive evaluations, four-time world champ Daniel Bryan's been medically cleared to return to in-ring competition by leading neurosurgeons, neurologists, and concussion experts. Bryan underwent a full review of his medical history and received comprehensive neurological and physical evaluations independent of WWE. He was cleared by all of them, as well as now WWE's medical director, Dr. Joseph Concussion Maroon. Sorry, if you haven't seen the film, you won't get that. So this now paves the way for him to possibly be involved at WrestleMania.
But in what form and in what facet will he be involved? And more than likely, it'll have something to do with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Shane McMahon in some way. But that we'll talk about more after we see what happens on SmackDown Live tonight. But for now, let's talk about Raw. We'll kick off Raw this week by announcing that Roman Reigns was not there due to his temporary suspension being in effect. However, that would not deter Reigns at all, who showed up out of nowhere, much to the shock of Angle. Reigns believed that he had to be there to represent the main event of WrestleMania, which has me worried that that could be the actual main event. Reigns also declared that he wouldn't leave the ring until he came face-to-face with the Universal Champion, so instead of getting Lesnar, he got three mini boss mans. Know your wrestling history, ladies and gentlemen, who handcuffed and attempted to arrest Reigns until they tried to force Reigns out of the ring, and Reigns responded accordingly. Then out would come Lesnar to brutally assault his number one contender to the point where he needed to be stretchered out, but before they could leave with him, Lesnar would get one more shot on Reigns. Personal opinion, WWE is kind of over-trying in a sense to get fans to hate Lesnar and garner sympathy for Reigns, but I have to say, Ash, if this match actually main events WrestleMania, it'll be booed out of the arena.
That's the risk. There's no guarantee it will happen, but that's the risk, which is always good. I mean, it's not, but that's the possibility. It's just trying to overly make on commentary. He's handcuffed. Well, surely that's his own fault because he shouldn't have shown up.
Yeah.
And then it's just so handy. It's as if now he's going to say that Vince has got a vendetta against him because they're saying, oh, you know, he's not arrived, he isn't here. And literally within 5 minutes, he suddenly showed up.
Yeah.
So we're already positioning Roman Reigns as being the Stone Cold of this thing, which you don't need anyway because the authority figures are battling with Ronda Rousey and their own general manager. But apparently that has to be the trend. General managers have to get into fights.
Yep. But anyway,
or something.
I'm going to score the opening segment a 3 out of 5. What about you, Ash?
On spectacle, yeah, it deserves a 3, but like with purpose, it's getting 2. It's going to be a 2, and it's going to get worse the more and more it goes on if they don't build this right, because they're just building it as if they actually think rehashing old Attitude Era scripts is going to work. Spoilers, it probably ain't.
Alexa Bliss and Mickie James came out next to address their actions and comments towards Nia Jax last week. First thing I want to say, Mickie James in that top? Damn. The hair? No. And secondly, the one thing I like about Alexa is how she could turn on a dime in her promos, because she was looking apologetic about her comments and then immediately turned and admitted to using Nia. She would then face the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, in a match, and that people were thinking was going to happen at WrestleMania, and I'm glad it's not for reasons I have already stated on this channel. Now, for a good part of the match, Alexa would have the advantage over Asuka thanks to repeated distractions by Mickie James, who was still at ringside during this match. Asuka would again gain the advantage by first locking on the Asuka lock on Bliss before transitioning into the ankle lock. However, Alexa would got some help from Mickie, who pulled her out of the ring, and Alexa would take a count-out loss to Asuka, but before they could leave, an enraged Nia Jax came out and gave chase to them. Personal opinion, I kind of figured something like this would happen, cause following that, Alexa approached Kurt Angle asking him what he's going to do about what Nia did, and made the match official for WrestleMania, as it will be Alexa Bliss defending the Raw Women's Championship against Nia Jax. Gee, Ash, I didn't see that coming.
Well, no, because that was obviously the plan anyway, if Asuka was going over. Just from that bloody bit when they, had her crying away and Alexa consoling her, it was automatically like, well, there's your WrestleMania plans right there, everybody.
Overall, I gotta say, I still thoroughly enjoy any time I get to see Asuka on WWE for, again, reasons I have already stated. So that way, for that, I'm going to score this match a 3.25 out of 5. What about you, Ash?
I'd say 2.5. The match made Asuka look weak. The whole Alexa thing just made her look. The whole 300 pounds of weight has been lifted on me. Yeah, that's really sensitive. Fat shaming. # be a star. Wait, does that still exist? You prat.
Yeah, hard to say at this point, but up next we would get Braun Strowman's reaction to him winning the Tag Team Battle Royal last week. However, he was informed by the management that he had to have a tag team partner for the championship match at WrestleMania, and would get interrupted by the Bar themselves, who had some less than flattering remarks for the Monster Among Men, who responded to the Raw Tag Team Champions by telling them that they had 2 things to worry about: that he had a partner for WrestleMania and had a match with one of them, which turned out to be Cesaro. Strowman had the advantage for the majority of the match, but for the few spots where Cesaro got the advantage thanks to Sheamus' distractions. However, Strowman would make Sheamus pay for it by leveling him on the outside and finishing off Cesaro with the Powerslam to pick up the win. Personal opinion, Ashley, I think the real question is, who is Strowman's partner for WrestleMania? This is something we talked about. I'm talking about Brickhead, Lance Moss, and the SOB Andy from Hardcore Wrestling Radio joined me on the live reaction stream over on Twitch last night, and the 3 names that we tossed around were Elias, Kane, and Big Show. Also, there's still a possibility it could be someone else, wouldn't you say?
Possibly, but still seems like a bad idea. Yeah, it's a shame he has to find a tag partner, but I think Big Show would be the interesting one, because they're planting all the seeds of, we battled each other, and, we came to realize that we're just as good as each other. And considering all the battles that the Big Show's had with Braun, that seems like the right sort of team to possibly take on an Authors of Pain if they move up, or, anybody like that. Then again, with the Bludgeon Brothers being on SmackDown, you'd have two teams that would be relative. I guess one would be face and one would be heel, but
Yeah. But anyway, that would be an interesting match to see. You know, Braun Strowman and Big Show versus the Bludgeon Brothers, and how WWE would work that. But I gotta say, I still thought it was an okay segment for what it was. It wasn't bad though, but I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, Ash.
Yeah, the match was pretty solid, and what it's building to has me slightly intrigued.
Yep.
I'd say 3.
Because I think I think the main interest about that is the whole air and the mystery of who Strowman's partner is actually going to be. I think that's probably what's piqued a lot of people's interest, is who it is, or who is it. That's the main question. And I think when people have that mystery that they want to solve, they want to try to figure out, and they want to try to speculate. Like, think back to when Jericho made his return back in 2012. If you remember all of those promos and segments that were popping up on various different YouTube channels that were popping up mysteriously in the WWE logo, if you remember that. And we had many a discussion on that, which are still here on the YouTube channel, believe it or not. So if you guys want to go back and see those discussions, you can see them as well. So, but anyway, up next it was the Revival taking on Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews of Titus Worldwide. It was a relatively short match, as the Revival would pick up the win with the Shatter Machine to Apollo Crews. After the match, the Revival would then declare themselves to be the first ever tag team to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Personal opinion? Ashley, time filler, plain and simple.
Pretty much.
Can't go anything beyond that, so I'm going 2.95 out of 5.
I mean 2, because it sort of did nothing anyway. Just really didn't result in anything substantial of note, so...
Yeah. Up next, Bayley would reveal to Sasha Banks the issue she had with her at the Elimination Chamber, and that it wasn't what she did, but how she did it, referring to when Banks kicked Bayley off the pod and smiled about it. They would end up tagging together to take on Absolution, but their issues would take center stage for the most part, one part being Sasha desperately reaching out to tag Bayley in her corner, and Bayley would not reach out for that tag, but would wait until Sasha was down in the corner to tag herself in. Bayley would go on the attack until Sasha got in her face about not tagging her earlier. That was until they were pushed into each other, which set up the finish of the match, being Sonya Deville hitting a bicycle kick to Bayley to pick up the win for Absolution. Personal opinion? I'm still left wondering who's turning heel in this angle, and more importantly, Ashley, does anyone actually care about this angle?
Well, no, because nobody gives a damn about Absolution right now, because it's lost its grip because Paige can't wrestle. Sonya, the best thing Sonya did this week was at Madison Square Garden when she cold-cocked John Cena. And he actually sold it for a change.
That's news to me.
And in that sense, you know, I saw somebody on one of the Facebook posts with that picture going, "Have we got another sensational Sherry on our hands?" And it's like, yeah, she's better as a manager, sort of getting involved with that, with her sort of MMA background, than anything.
Well,
anything.
Well, like I said, that's news to me, but I'm going to go ahead and score the match, again, 3 out of 5. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't spectacular, you know. But it was okay for what it was.
We'll see.
John Cena was expecting an answer from The Undertaker about his challenge for a match at WrestleMania and got nothing in response, which Cena took offense to. He said it was disrespectful to him and the WWE Universe that he wouldn't take the time to make a response. And to a degree, I agree with the statement that the name The Undertaker holds meaning to not only the WWE Universe, but wrestling fans in general. If you're a wrestling fan and you know the name of The Undertaker and what he's done throughout his career, you know who he is. And what really took everyone by surprise was the appearance of Kane, which made everyone think that he would have a response for Cena, and in a sense he did, in the form of a chokeslam. Personal opinion? At first I thought they were setting up Cena versus Kane from WrestleMania as Kane's possible swan song match of sorts, but instead it's happening next week, so the question remains of whether or not The Undertaker will make an appearance next week. Ash, don't you think?
You'd have thought, but you never know. They could easily just, I don't know, do a whole bunch of rubbish, and that he's only showing up on the show in Georgia the week before.
It's very
just
possible.
Like the promise of a match is enough to build it. You don't actually need Undertaker there. Part of me thinks it's actually because Taker's injured, and they're trying to rest him before he does anything.
For some reason, I can't help but think, wasn't there 1 year where they didn't build up for the entire match, Undertaker WrestleMania match, where he never showed up until the actual WrestleMania?
Well, that was 20 and everything. But again, you built it up right, because it's like the Undertaker's returning from being buried alive.
Oh yeah, that.
And they started that from the Royal Rumble. This is just like, the only people that would get the Instagram stuff would be people if they follow his Instagram. And not that much else.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and score this segment a 3.25 out of 5. What about you, Ash?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good fair score. In terms of what we still got from Cena being a good promo.
The Miz and the Miztourage were out there next, as Miz would go on yet another rant about being disrespected as the Intercontinental Champion, and would point out that the WWE Champion AJ Styles and the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar having single matches, but he had to defend the Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat match, and would proceed to not only insult Tyler Black and Prince Nevitt, but insult the entire independent wrestling scene. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Miz is one of the best talkers in WWE right now, because he knows what buttons to push to get a reaction from people. Anyway, they would take on the Balor Club as Seth Rollins would sit in on commentary during this match. It was a very good back and forth match that came down to Balor catching Miz by surprise with a roll-up for the pin, but Miz and the Miztourage would continue on the attack on the Balor Club until Rollins came down to the ring to make the save and have a standoff with Balor. Personal opinion, I gotta say, Ashley, even for that one flub up by Miz, it was still a good promo and a good six-man tag match.
Yeah, but for a main event, and
Mic off. Mic on.
Because it's all it progressed is Miztourage are doing nothing, the Good Brothers are doing nothing, and the other three are just padding. Because you've already built the hype, and now you're just having to do random combinations for the next 2 weeks. Timing's all glitched.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and score the six-man tag match at 3.5 out of 5, Ash.
Yeah. I think I'd agree there. Still, even though I was critical of it, I think that's probably a fair number.
Now it was time for the ultimate deletion, and I love how Michael Cole introed it by apologizing for what we were about to see. Now, given how anything they've done in the past from the Hardy compound has been great, needless to say, I had high expectations for them to do something great. And from the start, it looked like that, with Bray Wyatt being greeted by Vanguard 1 and a hologram of Hardy's face appearing, which was something similar to what we saw from the final deletion involving Matt and Jeff Hardy. Hardy and Wyatt would have a subpar match in the ring from there until it spilled out there and went to various different places around the Hardy compound, and I'm gonna let Ashley tell his favorite bit right here when they went to the Dome of Deletion.
Chair of wheels, mower of lawns, wonderful.
Yep.
Oh my word.
That was pretty much it. They would end up at the Lake of Reincarnation, where Hardy went to Skarsgård, the dilapidated boat, and when Wyatt lifted the boat, it was Senior Benjamin who tossed a small globe and saying he's got the whole world in his hands, and Jeff Hardy, or possibly Brother Nero, did the same thing, and then Matt appeared, hit a twist of fate to get the pin, and tossed Wyatt into the Lake of Reincarnation, where he disappeared. Personal opinion, that was it. I guess my expectations were just a little high considering what we've gotten in the past from them at the Hardy compound, but I suspect that WWE had their finger on it, because if it was left to Hardy and Jeremy Borash, who have booked things in the past before from that place, I believe, actually, we would have gotten something much better.
The problem is it wasn't going to compare to Impact, because Impact just wanted stuff that would get ratings and didn't care about normal stuff like health and safety and whatever. And then also because you've got a creative person like Kevin Dunn, who apparently his new obsession is as many camera cuts as you can fit, in a piece of pie. It was not going to be great. But the fact that we still got the juiciness of basically everything, enough callbacks, but also at the same time not. Senor Benjamin with the whole world in his hands, that was genius. The stuff with the ancient wheelchair and the lawnmower, and then randomly Die Hard Zota Joy kicking in. And even something as subtle as Rebby playing Bray Wyatt's music in Rebby piano form as he made his entrance to the ring before we got to the final commercial break. And that was the other thing as well. Whether this was affected by stuff that happened in terms of Brother Nero only being able to show up for a little bit and they couldn't use any Itchweed or anything, because I guess Itchweed as this character would be a bit too controversial considering, his previouses. I don't know. But for what it was probably the angle that somewhat saved the show.
Yep, definitely. Now, if you guys are longtime viewers of WGS-TV, you would know that during the early reviews, I would toss it to the guys who followed on the Facebook page for you guys to send in your reviews and your scores, and I would feature you guys here on the review. And for a long time, I haven't done that, but I decided I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. For those of you who do follow the Facebook page, facebook.com/WGS-TV, to what you thought of Monday Night Raw last night, and we did get a few responses I want to mention here on the review. Michael Rasco, I hope I'm saying your name right, says, I give it a 2.5. It was a very enjoyable show nonetheless, but it wasn't very eventful and same stuff we see every week. But the final Deletion match gets a 5 because of how funny and amusing it was. The bad acting made it hilarious. Although just all-around creative ideas from Matt, even though it happened on Impact, bringing it to WWE on a wider platform with the corny and cartoonish angles, and it made it different and was very entertaining. But the rest of the show was still a regular wrestling show, building up hype towards WrestleMania, and the angle with Brock and Roman was pretty boring. The six-man tag was quite a good match, possibly the best one of the night for me. Ashley, you kind of sound like you want to respond to that.
No, I'm trying to clean out my controller because we'll get playing games afterwards. No, I certainly feel, the Deletion segment was the best, and obviously it did feel like a build to WrestleMania one. It didn't feel like how terrible some of the go-home style shows, because it's honestly feeling like, because we've got nearly all the card now for Mania, All the Raws and SmackDowns now are going to be go-home shows.
Sabina...
Because we've already established everything. So, you know, we'll see.
Sabina Isabel McConnell says, 4.4. They had good matches. Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, I didn't get the match at all. It kind of been better, but after all, it was awesome to see. And then old friend of mine, Elton Smiley, from the APWF Facebook group, says, I give it a 7 out of 10. So, again, guys, I love it when I hear from you guys on the Facebook page, and if you ever want to get featured on one of the reviews here on the channel, just follow the Facebook page or follow me on Twitter, and when I ask for your reviews, send them in. And like today, and always, I will read your reviews here on the channel. So now, time for overall score and thoughts. First off, I don't like how WWE is not sticking to the storyline of Reigns being suspended. Yes, I understand they did it to make Reigns appear to rebel against the established authority and whatnot. And from a storyline perspective, having Lesnar attack Reigns makes sense because it's WWE attempting to turn Lesnar heel and get heat on him. But for some odd reason, he has a fan base, i.e. the chance of yes and the chant towards Reigns of you deserve it. Also, chair of wheels, mower of lawns, that made my night for sure. Overall score of Raw this week gets a 3.25 out of 5, with best match of the night going into the 6-man tag, and funniest segment of the night, I have to go to the Ultimate Deletion for that. Ashley, over to you. What's your overall score and thoughts of Raw this week?
A ho-hum road to pay-per-view show. Still gets a 3, you know, in the middle of, well, it's not, I guess if we're on 0 to 5, it's more, you know, it should be 2.5, but I'd say 3, probably just helped by the Ultimate Deletion stuff. I've just noticed in my details, apparently, backstage last night was a certain Big Cass who might be medically cleared.
Again, that's
so
news to me.
Well, again, that's from like the P Windsor sheets and everything. But I mean, okay, the last time he was on TV, he was a villain. But considering who it turned out the real villain was, Kayfabe,
yeah,
I think there is a possibility that Braun and Cass will be an interesting choice, because then that'd be really big, because Cass would be like, I never won a tag title with that guy that I can't mention, and now I've traded up with Braun and look what I've got. Who you know, that could be like a real sort of shoot if they wanted to do it like that. So yeah. I approve.
Yeah, that is definitely one scenario I didn't think of. But anyway, guys, that's been our thoughts on Monday Night Raw this week. We want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. What are your overall scores? What are your thoughts on Raw this week? I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, be sure you slam that like button like a champ. And if you guys want to see more wrestling talk with awesome gameplays right here on the channel, you know the 2 ways you got to do it. You got to leg up the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications, so that way you guys will never miss out on another video right here on my channel. And also, don't forget to support WGS-TV on Patreon. So with that being said, for the Studley Man Ashley, I'm your friendly neighborhood wrestling gamer, reminding all of you guys out there, mower of lawns or the chair of wheels.